please rise for the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on January 30th, 2015, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who have taken issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
At this time, I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This time, the meeting is open to the public. Anyone who'd like to speak, please come up.
There was a presentation here from the, I guess it was Bergen County Housing or whatever. And the only thing that I would like to set straight, or what they said, is it's open to anybody in the country. Not only Saddlebrook residents, not only Bergen County residents, but anybody in the country. So if we don't mislead the people of Saddlebrook thinking that that's going to be Saddlebrook housing, which it is not going to be, and it is classified as low-income housing, I understand? Correct? Low income, right? And low-income senior housing, or whatever you want to call it, but anybody from the United States can apply to live there. So there's 32 units. It would be like trying to win Powerball 2 or 3 times to get your name picked out of it, because you have to qualify. And like I say, they're saying the amount of people a lot of people don't apply for it and stuff like that. But believe me, the word gets out, and like I say, we'll see the people that will get to live in that place. So it is really not for Saddlebrook residents, cut out or tailor-made for Saddlebrook residents. That was a big fallacy with that place, and the way the mayor promoted, the ex-mayor promoted it, was, you know, she had her neighborhood meetings. I believe there was one person in favor out of 50-some or 60-some people that were there. So obviously the people in the neighborhood are not welcoming that very well. And like I say, we're going to wait now. We'll be on our 4th year waiting for the funding, and there is no guarantee that we will receive the funding. We get all kind of promises every year, but we're on our 4th year now. They said they're not going to know until July, so this is another year that goes by with nothing there, lost revenue, lost taxes, and everything else that comes with that. I think the best use would be a for sale sign up there. Like I say, we're going to take over somebody else's problems. Pete, I asked you to get some ordinances for the chair, Mr. Lodica.
Yes, and I mentioned you could come in yesterday or today to pick it up.
You have them?
I don't have them with me.
Well,
But
I
I
did
have
ask
for the
you to
meeting,
burn them
yes.
to the meeting. I mean, Pete,
You didn't
like
ask-
I said, we're going to get them one way or the other. We're going to open them, or you're going to
Mr.
cooperate.
Ratajczak, you're welcome to get
Why
them.
is there like a tussle and a
I don't know why.
fight
I
to
honestly don't
get
know why.
things that are
Anything you
public
need,
information?
we're happy to get it for you. I mentioned you could come, or the other person could come to the town hall yesterday.
Right?
And
How about the list of the zoning board, dates of the zoning boards and all that? Did you get that accomplished yet?
I didn't get that yet. Your secretary, the secretary to the zoning board has them.
I asked, I called Jane, she said you have them.
She has them.
You
I
have-
spoke to her.
Jane has them now?
She has them. I always give a copy of the resolution to the secretary.
Okay, but I mean, do you have them?
Of
That's
course,
what I'm-
yes.
You have a copy also,
I have the resolutions.
and you couldn't provide that either?
I will have them for you. Could stop in during the day. I'll be happy to
Yeah,
give
but
them.
I want them for the meeting. That's the purpose why I asked you on Tuesday to bring them to the meeting on Thursday. Pete, like I said, you're a great stonewaller. You stonewall us on everything. You're great at it. So it's gonna come to an end.
Whatever you need, Mr.
Okay.
Ratajczak, I'll be happy to get it.
Okay. Like I said, we asked for that. When you were hired by the ex-mayor back in her first term, You were hired as a temporary business administrator, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, you are, okay. And then she relieved you of that duty, and we hired a full-time business administrator?
The
Under
60
Mayor
days,
Diarminios. We hired a full-time BA, correct? Okay. And did anything happen to your salary?
was reduced by the amount for the business administrator, yes.
It was reduced?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 6,000 a year this year.
Okay, and that information's available also, correct?
It's in salary ordinances, yes.
Yes, okay. Also, we touched base on Veterans Field on Tuesday night, and as you can see, the weather's not cooperating. That probably would be one of the main reasons why you don't start projects like this in the wintertime. But that was also rushed. We approved it in one meeting, plans were approved. And I had a conversation with the new engineer, and he wanted to see a set of those plans to see what we were talking about, and we don't have any. We don't have any. We don't have any drawings, we don't have any bathrooms, we don't have any costs, we don't have anything. Unless they appeared miraculously, did they? Mr.
You're
Costa
talking about
provide
the-
drawings?
The field?
Excuse me?
What are you talking about, the field or the
The
proposed?
field, yeah.
Yeah, they're planned.
With the bathrooms, we can see the
No,
bathrooms?
no, just the
that's
field
what I'm
itself.
saying. So he wanted to know how we go into a project like that. And
We
without
have a
no plan.
conceptual, I'm sorry, through the chair, we have a conceptual drawing of
But
the
we have no
bathrooms and the
numbers.
concession.
We have no numbers.
No, not
You can
yet.
make all the drawings you want, unless we know the bottom line. Like I said, how many toilets are we having? How many stalls are we having? How many urinals are we having? He just has square boxes there.
Larry, I plan on meeting with the engineer and the architect tomorrow, and
Okay, but I
and
mean,
Mr.
like,
Cavalier.
how do you go into a project, a $2 million project, and not have a set of plans? I mean, you're gonna be watchdogs, but you got nothing to watch with, you have nothing to go by. He could throw any number he wants at us. And I also thought that he was only gonna be responsible for the field, just the items that are started. Now, all of a sudden, we turn it around, Mr. Simaluka brought it up, and he's gonna take care of the refreshment stand, the bathrooms, and everything. I mean, and he's not even the engineer, he's not even, I mean, this gentleman here is the engineer. I mean, it's only right that the new guy should, you know, he doesn't have any drawings, he doesn't have anything to base on, we don't have any numbers, but yet, and also when it comes time to vote, Mr. Simaluka always recuses himself on Mr. Costa's bills. And I would like to ask you to chair, what is your relationship with him?
I've represented him
Okay?
legally.
Legally, okay? So, you know what I mean, you know, I think we should just move on and hire the people that the new administration has hired. I mean, he had enough time. I mean, I had issues with him the other night on all the incomplete projects that he started and didn't finish. DPW roof, pump station, the light on Flora Lane. I mean, all we did was talk about these things and never accomplished anything. And they're all left here for this administration to handle now. And, you know, like I said, we were paying him big bucks all along. So, I mean, if this gentleman here is gonna take over all of them uncompleted projects, I mean, why doesn't he just move right in on the field and take care of the refreshment stand, the parking, the bathrooms and everything else? I mean, Mr. Costa has nothing in there, nothing, no drawings or no figures or anything like that. You know, you people do what you wanna do, or you people hire who you wanna hire, but I believe Mr. Costa's term is up. And, you know, if that was the case, he would be finishing all the projects that he started, and he's not. This firm is taking over. Like I say, salt shed, winter's gone already. We don't have it. He comes in with an estimate for $400,000. I mean, we discussed it. You could build a salt shed for $40,000, $50,000. He comes in at $400,000. But you gotta realize, 10% of $400,000 is $40,000 in his pocket. So he's not gonna come in at $40,000. He's gonna come in at 400,000. The roof on the DPW, what was the savings would have been if we did the roof when we knew we needed the roof? I mean, now it's up to 122,000, and there's 22,000 on the side. If we would have acted immediately when the roof leaks, I'm sure if your house roof was leaking, you wouldn't wait 2 years to fix your house roof. You know, you'd do that, that would be like an emergency thing that needed to be done. And I mean, these projects that were all in place, they all got pushed to the side so we can jam that field down our throats. I mean, Mr. Simaluka said they didn't rush, but I mean, it was approved the same night you got your plans. And I don't think there's any way that you can read the plans and vote on a project that size. And we did rush, and another project we rushed on was Broadway, special meetings and everything else. We were having 2 and 3 meetings, planning board was having special meetings. These were all things that cost money. And it's sitting there now, 3.5 years. So, like I said, I think we better think before we do things, or just take one project at a time, work on that, finish that, and move on to the next one. But we got stuff ripped apart all over town, Fifth Street, behind the cinder block company. These are all things we start and nothing is finished. PJ's project, he told me tonight that nothing was even done with that for his backyard. He was just told that, oh yeah, it's going, this is going along, that's going along. What else? Nothing. All right. But I mean, these are things that you have to look at, and we got to try to fix them now. And I also made a comment also, like I said, I know the DPW takes a lot of heat and a lot of things, but like I said on Tuesday night, when they do good, they do good. And like I say, the plowing I thought was exceptional. But like I say, you got the cooperation from the police department, you got the cooperation from the residents, not parking on the streets, and this is the kind of work that these guys can do. They can do the work if we cooperate with them. And like I say, he's a new leader here, and I think that they're gonna listen to him and get the jobs done. And it will fall right down the line. It starts at the top. If you don't have good leadership, you don't have good workers, you don't have good snow plowing, you don't have good nothing. But I really think that Bobby and you people up here can really, you know, light a fire in the town, what we need, and get things straightened out for us. Because the last administration really, really hurt us. They did vindictive things right until the end, the police department, the raises, and everything else we did. And, you know, that's not the right way to run the town. You don't want to hurt the town. You want to leave it in better shape than what you took it over with. And what she did is just cripple us. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
I'm just going to bring up a few subjects that I discussed, a few of them on Tuesday. But first and foremost, Council President, I would like to commend you actually for opening up the meeting with another 10 minutes, and also opening at the end, even though that I'm not intending to use that time, promise, no both times. I will try to do.
Put it in writing?
Yeah, no.
It'll be in writing?
Sign it. And whatever I say, whatever I promise, I deliver. Believe me. There is not much need. It's not grandstanding or nothing. It's just that in the past, most of the questions were carried over from one month to the other, like Councilwoman D'Arminio mentioned it. There were just no answers, and they were just playing around and around, and then for years. And I guess now, Business Administrator Lorico just mentioned that he got the ordinance, but the ordinance that he is referring to is the ordinance that it was tailor-made just to favor, basically, certain individuals that are no longer here, and that's maybe one of the reasons why they lost the election. What we are referring, and one more time, I want to be on the record, what we are referring is the ordinance that, yes, did exist. Whether it cannot be fined, that's another subject. I was there. I was a council president, and Councilman Kugler put it forward that it have to be 20 consecutive years of service before you receive lifetime benefits. So that is the reasoning why that it keep on coming back over and over and over again. I'm not here to, again, to steer the path on whether it is the health benefits one thing or the other. Fine, the proper time will come, but right now what is in discussion is where is the ordinance that it reads 20 consecutive years. That is my issue tonight. Because even though for the public, they were saying, I'm not gonna take health benefits. Now all of a sudden they're considering taking lifetime health benefits? That is wrong. Whoever is just going to take it, just be open, and I wanna commend, Councilman Simaluka. He wanna take it, or he need to take it, or he said he must take the health benefits. Fine, at least he's saying it publicly. But now other people, they're saying, I'm not gonna take the health benefits. But now what? They wanna take the lifetime health benefit? That's wrong. That's what I believe, Mr. Lodico, that they've been referring to the ordinance, what it says, 20 consecutive years that so far there has been no lack on finding that ordinance. Now, going into the agenda, if I may, Council President, on resolution number 23, it says to rescind, and resolution, now you don't have to go over, it's just about the opening to the public. It is my understanding, it is my belief, that you don't need to put a resolution like that. You as Council President, you're leading the meetings, they select you to be the Council President, you don't need to vote on this. It is just your prerogative to just manage the meetings the best possible way you think you are, because they have given you the responsibility to run the meetings. So it's up to you to open it at the end and at the beginning, but you don't have advice and consent of the council. You just let them know how you're going to run the meetings, and if not, you can check with legal department. I'm sure that he will be more well aware on that subject, but I've been council president, and I know that it doesn't need a resolution for that.
I felt it was just a common courtesy.
Oh, yeah, no, it could be a courtesy, that you could put it, but it doesn't have to be executed as a formal resolution.
I know.
Now, on the first reading of, before I jump to the last subject that I have, I would just like to make a comment to Mr. Lodico. This back and forth, whether the secretary of the zoning board has the date or when the term expires for the zoning board members, or whether it's Pete Lodico as not business administrator, but as a clerk, as a guardian of the records, that tells you a lot. And I hope that Mayor White and the new administration try to change somehow the channels of communication between several departments, because it shows to the public that something is not working. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we don't find certain documents. And I'm going to tell you why. Zoning board members are nominated by the council. You are the clerk to the council. Just to give you an example, my guess is that it should be your responsibility, because the secretary could be anybody this year and somebody else next year. But you, as a clerk of the council, should be keeping a record of every single individual. And I know now by talking to some members, by discussing, it doesn't make sense. The way it is now, somehow the years of the expiration term are not proper. It doesn't make sense. Because the way I understood is that every year should be one permanent position available to be nominated or to be filled. Right now, my understanding that it's not going to be positions available, just the next nominations that you got to make going to have to be on alternates. It doesn't make sense. Somewhere along the line actually has expanded their term or didn't finish on time, but somehow it's a mishap. But now, the public don't want to hear whether it's your responsibility or the secretary's responsibility. My understanding, it is the clerk's responsibility, because you work for the council, and the council made the appointments. And if I may, just to the chair, it's just an observation. And finally, I would just like to touch the subject about the police department. And I say it's press on Tuesday, and I'm glad to see the chief right here tonight in attendance. You are ready to go for first reading on moving a lieutenant and on the advice of the chief to benefit the police department. When I say benefit, is because they want to give a trial period of a year to see if it works the 12-hour shift program. I expressed on Tuesday that we should look into different avenues. What about if after 1 year or 9 months that program doesn't work? We already have a litigation on our hands. The mayor expressed on Tuesday that if we have a fourth lieutenant, he will not rescind the promotion, or demote the lieutenant. Who knows? It might be another lawsuit. Why to entertain avenues that we don't know what is around the corner? Why to jump the bridge when we don't have to? That's one thing, to look for the benefits, and I commend the entire police department. But also we have to look into the eyes of the taxpayers. For more than 2.5 years, I've been researching about things about the police department when I was trying to research in order to eliminate the position of deputy chief of police. And I brought you over and over and over again the ordinance on how to work it out in order to eliminate the position of deputy chief of police. And I commend you already, and I congratulate you for removing the position once Chief White, now Mayor White, retired. So my conclusion is, if you approve that tonight on first reading, then it goes for a second reading. We have 28 police officers right now. My take is that it's up to 32. It's controversial if it's up to 34, but we currently got 28, and we have to deal with whatever we have right now because we don't even know where we are standing with the NAACP and the federal lawsuit that we have pending. So let's just take just 1 second. I'm not going to go into so many numbers, but if I just have to go by whatever we have, and a small town like ours got 3 captains, a small town like ours with a police force of 28. We got currently 3 lieutenants, and we have 4 sergeants. That's without counting the 2 that were rescinded, those promotions. So just bear with me for 1 second. If you pass it through and the 12-hour shift program goes back, what are we talking about? We're talking about putting back 2 sergeants and putting back another, or putting another extra lieutenant. Therefore, we're going to have 3 captains, 4 lieutenants, 6 sergeants, and 1 chief. The total is 14. 14 to what? To be supervising 14 rank and file police officers? Because if the total number is 28, and we're going to have superior officers 14, and 14 rank and file, I think that we can look in from a different angle. Now, that's fine. We look just to make this program work, but I just give you some food for thought. Why not to bring one of the sergeants and pay it as a lieutenant without giving him the title of lieutenant? If the program works after 9 months, then just make the promotion as lieutenant. Another point can be just to bring back or to bring down 1 captain without demoting him, just to perform the duties of that lieutenant. Just to see if it works. Because to approve somebody for lieutenant, and if the program doesn't work, how are you going to remove the lieutenant to the ranks of sergeant again? Another lawsuit? Just for food for thought. Then what are we getting in return, we as taxpayers? Can we have some special police officers? 1 or 2. One is with arms, the other one is without arms, to maybe do the overtime? Because sometimes you see, now especially with these 12-hour shift programs, you see some captains doing overtime. You see them when PSNG break ground anywhere in town, you see some captains doing overtime, or anybody doing overtime. Can it be done by special police officers? And of course, I don't think that it's going to allow because it's through negotiation through the PBA. But then if we are doing a trial basis, why don't we try different things? Or maybe to increase the administration fees. The administration fees, because they're using the gas, they're using the car of the police department, they're making the money, but what money the town is making? They're using the car, they're using all the equipment from the police department, but what are we getting in return? Then again, listen, I give you this, let's try this, but then let me try this too. If it doesn't work, we call it quit at the end of the year. But then again, my advice is that's perfect if it goes to the 12-hour shift, but that's what the town needs. Is that what the town needs? Or maybe we need to increase more than rank and file. Or maybe we have to, have the time to revisit that entire table of organization, because that is the biggest expense that we currently have on the budget. And if we keep on increasing the numbers there, how do you think that we are going to manage the town if we're going to put more money in a line item that is already eating most of our budget? And again, nothing against the police department, but let's just try to look for different ways. Bring more rank and file. But it's up to you to review the entire police department, not just this 12-hour shift, but see what we have right now, if that's the number that we need. Thank you all for listening.
I think it was last year when council amended the ordinance for the snow removal to go from snow cover to 2 inches, whatever. Is there any way something can be put into effect for one side of the street parking for a certain amount of inches of snow by Franklin School? Because it's a nightmare. They did take it out today by the truckload. It is better. You still have two ways parking, buses coming down, people trying to go. It's a nightmare.
Like Franklin School specifically, you're talking?
Well, I don't know about the other schools. I live there, so it's just, Lance's a two-way street.
Right.
And when you have cars parked on both sides and school buses trying to come up and snow, there's no way everybody's passing. We're backing cars up. We're helping Ann, the crossing guard. It's a nightmare.
So Sylvia, just so I'm clear, you're saying to remove the snow, is that?
No,
or
if there's
just,
a certain amount of snow, can we
Right.
not have one side of the street parking maybe?
to allow the snow to be put, like,
No, just so people won't park there so you can
Oh.
get the traffic through.
yeah, I guess we could look into this traffic situation there. And if it's causing problems, sure, we could look into it.
Thanks.
I missed the last several meetings, and I know Channel 77's been messed up. I guess that's the township channel, and I don't know if Cablevision has decided to change the way they do their formats. So being as I couldn't find them on TV, I mean, you turn the channel on, it blasts your ears, it's so loud when you turn it on. So I went to the township website, and the last time I saw updated minutes was July 1st of 2014 that were posted. Unless something changed on the website, there hasn't been anything for the minute. The agenda's there for each month,
Right.
but the last minutes you see are the July 1st meeting, I believe it was. So if we're hurting on visualizing things on TV to know what's going on, is there any way we can get those minutes posted? Because for the people that can't attend, it's the only way
Sure.
for us to know what's going on.
Sure.
Okay, and then I just have one other quick question. Back in, I believe it was the early summer of 2014, there was talk about applying for a grant. I know the grant was supposed to be implemented for this year if it got approved. It was for sidewalks, repairs for schools. And I believe Mr. Semaluka said anybody within 2 miles of a school would qualify. Sidewalks had to be a hazard to children walking or something. Does anybody remember if that was ever applied for?
2 miles?
I believe that's what you stated at that meeting. I couldn't find the minutes.
That would be
I-
the entire town. No,
Yeah, and that's exactly what you said. You said that would mean that everybody would qualify.
The grant was applied for in October, but we're waiting to hear from.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to
We
make
did
sure
put
that
it
it was
in.
applied for, because it sounds like it would be a good thing for the town if we
I
did get the money.
think it was anybody within a certain amount of feet from the school, and based on where our schools were, it pretty much touched most of the town.
Okay.
Not all.
We did put in for the grant.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Council comments at this time? Anyone? Start in this end?
Awesome.
Good.
A couple things based on some of the things that were said tonight. In regard to senior housing, I think it's eventually will be a good project. We had, for those who weren't here on Tuesday, we did have the gentleman from the Bergen County Housing Authority here, and they spoke about other projects, Northvale, Dumont, maybe Bergenfield, 3 or 4 housing projects that they've completed throughout the county. And I know myself, I was unaware that any of these projects were being built. So when people say you can have, listen, you can have somebody from Des Moines, Iowa come in, yes, it's federal. However, how would these people know about it? I mean, I certainly didn't know about the Northvale project. I didn't know about Dumont. I mean, generally, people from the town are the ones that apply. And what the gentleman said, I didn't hear the other night, that was Mr. Bialy, who's the head of that organization, said that if you live in Englewood, let's just say, Fort Lee, and you've lived there all your life and now you're a senior, I love the town, but it's usually, it's not your life goal to move to Saddlebrook. If you lived in Saddlebrook and you want to stay here, that seems like a more reasonable occurrence. And what they've found from all of their research is that 90% of the people, 80%, certainly more than 50% of the people who are in this senior housing previously resided in the same town that the housing is located. It just makes a lot of sense. In terms of Veterans Field, I just got to say one thing. The project, in terms of the field itself, and I'll limit it to the field, not the bathrooms, not the snack stand, but the construction of the field, probably 80 to 90% complete. Now, if we had waited, as some people suggest, that we rushed into this, we didn't rush in. I mean, it's been over a year that we've been talking about this. I can tell you now, we're still talking about certain things. It's February meeting. Assuming that we weren't on this project, not only would we lose the $400,000 that the county gave us, but when would we sign the contracts to have this thing built? If we waited March, April, well, what would have happened then? All of your school sports, let's say they even started, all of your school sport, your spring sports are done for 2015. Let's say they started this. You're not having lacrosse, you're not having softball, you're not having Babe Ruth at that field. It will be torn up if they started it then. And there's no guarantee that they'd be done by the football season. So why do we start it? Because we got 80% and 90% done before, unfortunately, the weather kicked in. Snow melts, they started again, and our goal is to have that field up and running, so this way everyone playing spring sports can play on a brand-new field. Now, it talked about abandoned projects. Well, I've had this discussion a number of times about the difference between a town and your house. You don't run a town like you run your house. You just don't. Listen, if I had a leak in my roof, what do? I call up my buddy, the roofer. I say, come over, fix my roof. He gives me a bill, and I pay it. We don't do that. We can't do that. You've got to go out to bid. You've got to prepare the bids. You've got to go out to bids. You open the bids. You discuss them. It takes months to do anything, and it's frustrating. Believe me, we'd love to, if there's a leak in the roof, we'd love to have it done the next day. But we've got to go along with the rules. And in terms of the roof, it was put out to bid. There was a bid. There was a bid, dispute or an objection to the bid. And tonight, we are accepting the bid. And hopefully, Pano Roofing is going to start very quickly. But it's not like this project was abandoned. The pump station went out to bid. The Floral Lane, it's being reviewed by the county. Again, it's a county road. These things just don't happen. We just can't start doing things without, just on our own. We have to wait for certain things to happen. Again, it's frustrating, but it's certainly not an abandoned project. It's not just sitting there and no one is doing anything. It's going to be done in conjunction with the county. And lastly, on one person's comments, that the previous administration, and I hate using that term, and I said, I don't want to hear that anymore, about the previous administration. You guys won, okay? And you guys are not saying it, it's other people. But you won. Whatever happened, happened, and congratulations. But when someone comes up and talks about how we crippled the town, listen, the last 2 years there was 0% tax increase. We have less bonding than 4 years ago when that administration, I'm gonna say, because I was here before Karen, Anthony, and Richie were here. So when they came in 4 years ago, there was more bonding. So the amount of bonding is lowered, and Standard & Poor's increased our rating. So when you talk about, and in addition, our surplus went up. So how are we crippled financially? You got a better bond rating, you've got less bonding, limited tax increases, and more surplus. So in that respect, I don't understand that comment. There's this issue about the consecutive versus non-consecutive, and I think I might have some information on that. When former Mayor Chamberlain lost the election, whenever that was, 2000 maybe, after that, there was a white-collar negotiation. Now, the elected officials always went with the white-collar. When the white-collar negotiated, for the first time, the words consecutive were placed in the white-collar contract in terms of years of service. So it was never there. That was done. Why it was done? You could say it was done to shut somebody out. But I wasn't part of that. I don't know why it was done that way. In the most recent white-collar contract, the word consecutive was taken out because the word consecutive is not in the blue-collar contract, it's not in the police contract. Also, the amount of years of service was upped from 20 years to 25 years because that's the same way as it's in the DPW and the police contract. So 4 years ago, when they signed the white-collar contract, and it was agreed to by the white-collar union people, the term consecutive was taken out, and the number of years that you had to serve to get the benefits was increased to 25. So now all of our 3 contracts are the same. They're exactly the same. We had talk about the 12-hour shift. Now, there's talk about making what I would say a provisional lieutenant position. And my understanding is this, and I may be wrong, but my understanding is that under civil service rules, you can't make a provisional appointment if there is an active list. And there is an active list currently for lieutenant. So you can't take a sergeant, make him a provisional lieutenant, and then later on, send them back and say, well, you were only a provisional, you're going back to a sergeant list. You can't. The mayor probably would know more about that than me, but that's my understanding. So that's one thing that we can't do. So that was a suggestion, and I guess in a perfect world, that's not a bad suggestion, but it can't be done. Being that we were told that by the chief the other night that maybe 23, it was a vote of 23-1 of the police officers to accept a 12-hour shift, I can pretty much assure you that they're not going to not want to continue the 12-hour shift. Could be the town, but I am in favor of what was proposed. I was in favor of this, and I did talk to a number of people before the promotions, demotions, and all that took place. If you're going to go for the 12-hour shift, it just makes sense to have the four lieutenants there. In terms of overtime, and we're getting charged with overtime for the private work, just so everyone knows, the town gets a certain percentage of all the overtime. Let's say PSE&G pays $1,000 for overtime. The town gets a percentage of that. So while they're out there on the street, and they're getting paid by PSE&G really, the town makes money on it. It used to be 10%, and a couple of years ago we raised it to 20%. So, for every $100 they make, the town gets their own $20. So it's not coming out of the taxpayers' pockets. It's actually paid by the private contractors, and the town also gets some benefit out of that. That's all I have.
Sure.
Just one other thing. And the chief is here, and I'm just, I did speak to a number of DPW workers about the plowing, and for the streets that were able to be plowed, did a great job. The problem is, in spite of Nixle and in spite of everything, there are a number of people that did not get their cars off the street, and especially on the south end of the street, south end of the town, there are streets that if an ambulance or a fire truck had to go through, probably would not be able to make it. There are, if you go through some of those streets, there are vehicles that are still snowed in and plowed in. They haven't moved it. I mean, for all intents and purposes under the law, they're 48 hours, they're deemed abandoned. But my understanding is that no snow tickets, parking tickets were issued. I had a problem with that. for whatever reason, I think that it sends a bad message to the next time that there is a snow event, that somebody says, I didn't get a ticket. We're not giving, Saddlebrook doesn't give tickets out for snow. There is an ordinance on the books. Listen, that blizzard of the century, that never happened. I mean, they talked about it for a week ahead of time. If you didn't know to move your car beforehand, you got issues. So just for whoever is listening to this, probably not gonna take the warning, but move your car, because what it's gonna do is, we don't want a tragedy where somebody can't get through a street because you decided that you didn't want to follow the law and you're just gonna leave your car out there. It's just not right for anybody, and we certainly don't want that to happen. So please, get your vehicles off the street. There's an ordinance in place. You don't have to listen to the radio, you watch TV, you know that there's gonna be snow, you know how much it's gonna be. Just get your your car off. If it's not that much, so be it. You still got it off the street. But you're just hurting other people by being stubborn and keeping it on the street. Thank you.
I have a few things to comment on. Andrew's a tough act to follow, but I have just two
I'm
quick
going away.
things.
I'm leaving.
Okay, you can stay. Anyway, on the housing project, the one thing that I had to question for was who gets in there. It's strictly a lottery, and I want to stay transparent on that. That if, just say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones from Saddlebrook put their name in the lottery, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith put their name in from Texas, it's in the lottery, and it's whoever gets pulled out of there. That's all I wanted to point out, because I asked that question when they were in, and it's solely a lottery system. The other thing I wanted to touch on was Veterans Field. I didn't want to overstep my boundaries there, but I am still involved with recreation. So when I started to see plans on the turf, things weren't really the way they should have been, or I should say the best with the situation we have. So I did spend a lot of my time, and collectively, talking with other councilwomen, councilmen, and the people that are involved, and we worked out a very nice plan for the turf. In my opinion, the turf is worked out to the best of our ability, and it should suit all sports. The bathroom and snack bar, well, what we're kind of stuck with there is the funding. We only have X amount of funds, so we could shoot for the stars, but the funding is going to set up the reality on what we're going to be able to do with the bathroom and the snack bar. And whoever we work with, again, we're working with Bob Costa on the project, I could assure you that we're going to work it out, again, to the best of our possible ability for everybody in the town. And basically, that's all I have. Thank you.
I'd like to question the chief, if I may. I see that we had an ordinance tonight, which is to promote a lieutenant and to go to the 12-hour shift temporarily, correct? When I look at this table of organization that you gave us, we have 28 police officers right now, but this TO shows 32. So I'm a little bit trying to catch up with this. We're only asking to promote the lieutenant. We're not asking for any other police officers.
I think as far as the discussion that I remember on Tuesday, it was, when I left, it was an issue whether you were going to discuss as a council body.
32 or 34.
I think that's where we left off. The ordinance I asked for increases the number of lieutenants from 3 to 4. That's what I'm
In
asking.
order to go to the 12-hour shift with 28 police officers. Is that correct? That's what you're going to have in order to go to the 12-hour shift.
That's right.
Promoting the lieutenant. We'll have 4 squads, 28 police officers going temporarily. Now, if it doesn't work out and they don't like the 12-hour shift, according to this ordinance, he cannot be removed from the position of lieutenant. Which my confusion is, in the paper today, it was quoted that both the mayor and the chief feel that the department is too heavy. So my question to you is, wouldn't it make more sense to complete the TO before promoting the lieutenant, and then complete the TO, promote the lieutenant, and then go to the 12-hour shift, so we could have a full complement of men, versus doing it this way? I guess what my question is, why are we doing it this way and not filling up the TO prior to doing the promotions in the 12-hour shift?
I think, to answer the question as easy as possible, having more police officers join the police department is a function of government. You need to budget their funds, we need to background applicants, and as we discussed the other night, I don't even know how we're hiring, what's our process, laterally transferring, we can hire at any time. If we hire off the residency Department of Personnel list, that's gonna take some time. The course is offered twice a year, once in January, once in September. So, if we wanna hire police officers, my suggestion is hopefully have the money budgeted in this year's budget, and then once I get the green light, or we get the ability to go forward, then we have to research how we're going to hire, and at this point, it would apparent that if we're gonna hire before August, it would be a lateral transfer candidate. If we want to hire off the residency list, then we have to see about what the predicament is with, if we could even hire off that list and move forward for the August class. So.
Well, with the elimination of the position of the deputy chief, doesn't that give us that salary, which that salary would probably get us 4 police officers, and we'd have a little change left over, correct?
I argued that some years ago, yeah.
Okay. So, and again, I'm just trying to grasp all of this. Where are we at on that? I know we talked about it, and you were going to go back on the consent decree and you haven't done that, I guess, since Tuesday.
Yeah, and the first thing I was trying to do was to find out if the individual who is the local, I guess, representative of the NAACP, to see if there was anything that could be done without, having to go to court and spending money to do the order, so forth. And I have not yet, I've reached out already to speak with the person, and I'm waiting to get a response at this point.
Okay, so
I mean, if you want me to go, right away and do that, if you want to authorize me to do that, I can do that right away, but I thought you might want me to wait, like, maybe at least a week, or maybe for the next meeting, and let you know what the status is, and then go, just however you want me to handle it.
Well, I just thought, in looking over all of this, and again, because I'm new and I want to look at everything, it just makes more sense to me to have a long-term plan versus doing something short-term. I mean, if the attorney lifts the consent decree, that brings us to the residency list, which allows us to hire. Also, we could do the laterals, correct? Which would bring the TO up to 32 or 34, and as you said, you're willing to take 34. So if we get the 34 police officers, and certainly I want to see them go to the 12-hour shifts. This is nothing against the police department. It's just in the procedure of how we're going about it. And I just think that that's a better long-term plan than doing it in this short kind of piecemeal kind of thing. And with the 34 police officers, we could bring back the school resource officer and expand the DARE program into the middle school, which is very important to me because that's what I campaigned on. So that's my thinking. So I just, wanted to put it out there because we're going to promote someone without bringing on any new police officers. So to me, that doesn't make sense to me. So that's just my comment.
The Chair, one thing that we have to remember is that although the deputy chief's position is gone, and Mayor White earned it during his 30-something years, we still have to pay. There's a payout at the end. So the entire salary, whatever it is, $150 or something like that, is we don't have that money available because we have to make payments for sick time, vacation time, and comp time. So whatever that salary is, we don't have all of that.
I
to
understand
use.
that, and that's done over a 2-year period,
I
correct?
think it's 3 year?
4.
4 year?
Oh, it's 4 years.
Yeah, it's a 4 year. So some of that, you know, is
We
gonna
have
be,
to
is gonna
use.
be held back.
Okay.
I just want to say that I'm very happy with the progress that I've made thus far in my first month in office. I've been in town hall a lot. I believe the town employees are probably sick of seeing me at this point, but it's something I feel is very important, that I'm accessible and available to the residents when they come in. And it's been a good experience. I've met a lot of people coming in to pay taxes, which we like, and get dog licenses and other business that they do. And I appreciate their kind words and congratulatory wishes, and I thank them for that. Shortly after taking office, at the suggestion of Councilman Accomundo, I requested the assistance from Bergen County Sheriff Michael Sordino to use the inmate work program, labor program. We did so to paint headquarters, to paint the town hall, which they did in very quickly with the help of the DPW. Took them 6 days, and they really did a fantastic job. I think the appearance of the town hall looks really good, and you know, it enhanced the town hall appearance and with minimal cost, labor cost. So I want to thank Sheriff Sordino and also Councilman Accomundo for recommending that and facilitating that inmate program. Regarding the budget, I just want to say that myself, and Business Administrator Ludico, we met with all department heads earlier, actually in December, late December, to review their annual budgets requests. A temporary budget was adopted in January by this council. In the coming weeks, we're working on it and preparing a permanent budget for submission to the council. The council will make amendments as necessary and vote to adopt the budget. We'll have public hearings prior to that. But once adopted, the budget, of course, gets forwarded to the state for final approval. As part of that budget, I'm going to discuss with the council the possibility of including funds for, the first thing is a grant writer. I believe that writing a grant, writing grants, those proposals take a great deal of knowledge and skill and expertise. We've been doing that in-house, that process we've been doing in-house. But I believe the investment, what it would cost us to hire a professional grant writer, will really give us much better odds at receiving grants and allow township employees that are currently doing it to continue the day-to-day operations that they do now without any distractions. Many municipalities have done this, and they've had good experiences at getting money, grants, winning grants, and it's something I really believe we should consider. The other thing is road improvement program. We haven't had one in a very long time. I'd like to put some money aside in the budget for bonding to institute road improvement programs to rehabilitate the deteriorating roads that we have in town. Include milling and paving of these streets and improving the infrastructure there, water and sewer, when that were necessary. Again, we haven't had that in a long time. The past few years with the snow and with the plowing and sand and salting of the roads, it's taken its toll on the streets. I'd like to have the engineer and DBW identify the roads that are the worst and look to try to tackle those first. Emergency notifications. We've been working towards, again, using SBC TV, the station, to air our council meetings, videotaping also township activities and sporting events. But most importantly, we need that station to notify the public in emergencies, emergency situations. I urge all of you who haven't signed up for Nixle phone and email alerts to do so. You can go to the town or the police department website, and there's instructions there on how to do so. Also, if you haven't been receiving the Swift Reach 911 calls, please contact my office or Chief Kugler's office to make sure that your phone number is added to the list, because some people have complained they haven't received the 911 calls. School liaison. This council has appointed Todd Accomundo, Councilman Accomundo, to be assigned the responsibility of serving
as a liaison to the Saddlebrook School District. His role is to establish a rapport, an ongoing rapport with the members of the Board of Education and the school administration in hope of improving communications and enhancing the relationship between the town and the school. Councilman Accomundo will schedule meetings with the Board of Education representatives, and we'll discuss issues that affect both the town and the school. I think it's very important that we work together with the school district. Veterans Field Project, I'd like to thank the council for their involvement and efforts working together to ensure that this project is going to be a success. And as Councilman Samaluka said, I do believe we're on target. This snow has set us back a bit, but I do think that we're ahead of schedule at that point, and I think we're going to be okay. I'd especially like to thank Councilman Camilleri for being the point person and really taking a lead role in overseeing the project. I also want to mention the involvement of Recreation Commissioner Joe Sedekes, who's been involved as well. Open Space Grant meeting, Mr. Lodico and I will be attending a meeting next Monday evening, February 9th. We'll be discussing with the county applications submitted by 2 residents in flood-prone areas to be purchased, for their homes to be purchased with the funds from this grant. As I said on Tuesday, we received a letter from County Executive Tedesco urging residents that are in flood areas to attend an open house session conducted by FEMA next Tuesday, February 10th, at Bergen County Plaza in Hackensack from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I will be attending with Chief Kugler and Emergency Management, also the Emergency Management Coordinator. Some council members may be attending as well. FEMA will be discussing the release of new flood hazard area maps. This could have an impact on your home, and also your flood insurance for residents in flood areas who may have to pay additional money for flood insurance. There's also another session on Wednesday, the next day, February 11th, which will be at the Bergen County Police and Fire Academy at the same time, 4 to 8 p.m. Lastly, next month is Women in History Month. Anyone that wants to forward me nominations for women in history, we'd like to recognize them in March. Please forward to my office by February 23rd. It's Monday, February 23rd. I also want to take this time to congratulate our municipal court judge, Judge Deborah Gross-Quattrone, who was for being appointed a Superior Court judge, which is a huge honor. Saddlebrook girl, doing very well, being appointed. And I do believe that it was official today, that she was appointed to Superior Court judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
First reading is ordinance 1588-15, an ordinance amending section 154-21, property maintenance of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook, entitled Carbon Monoxide Detectors, for first reading.
Andrew, would you like to discuss this? This was actually Andrew's.
Yes, I introduced this after seeing something in the paper. Apparently, there was a tragedy, an almost tragedy, in Passaic County. Now, the borough of Bloomingdale enacted this, and they were the first municipality to enact this in New Jersey. Unbeknownst to me, and probably everybody else in the state, and amazingly, daycare centers do not have any, or had any requirement, and still don't have any requirement to have carbon monoxide detectors in their facilities. Somehow that's a loophole that never got closed, so we're trying to close it. We would be the first community in Bergen County to have this done. So I think it's important, and I believe that what we're trying to do is, Anthony's working, this is introduced pretty much by title,
Yeah.
and Anthony's working on getting some language in there, because I know Fairlawn has a large adult daycare, so why limit it to the children's daycare? I don't think we have any facilities currently, but, in the future we might, so we might as well encompass that, just in case, because, just like young children, the people that in the adult daycares can't really fend for themselves, so we need to protect them. So I think it's a good thing, and I'll make the motion to pass.
I would just like to
introduce
comment
it.
on this also. I'd like to commend Andrew for introducing this. I did speak with licensing, since I do have 3 centers in town, and they did tell me that it is a law that has managed to fall through the cracks. So they did commend us that we were doing this, and they're hoping that, other townships will follow suit also. Okay, so Andrew made the motion? And a second on this? Second. Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomondo.
Yes.
Council President Mason.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance amending Section 154-21 Property Maintenance of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook entitled Carbon Monoxide Detectors, heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on March 5th, 2015, at 7:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
A motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomondo.
Yes.
Council President Mason.
Yes.
Ordinance 1589-15. An ordinance amending Chapter 33, Article 1 of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook for first reading.
A motion?
I'll make the motion and just explain a little bit, because this just refers to numbers and really doesn't explain. This is the table of organization, which would increase our current table of organization, which says 3 lieutenants to 4 lieutenants. It does not affect any other part of our ordinance, which currently has 1 chief, up to 3 captains, up to 6 sergeants, and a maximum of 34 total police personnel. And any attempt to reduce the overall TO to 32 would be met with opposition from me, because I don't, again, it's up to, doesn't mean it necessarily has to be filled, but to actually reduce it from 34 to 32, I don't think is productive at all. It doesn't really make any sense to me. So as long as this is only to change it to 4, and I think 4 lieutenants, I think that makes ample sense, as discussed by the chief, and, I talk to people too from other police departments, to have a lieutenant for every squad makes a lot of sense. So I know there's some drawbacks and some questions, and I appreciate Ms. Darminio, what she said, and I agree with a lot of what she said. But I do think it's a reality that we're going to the 12-hour shifts, and my understanding is that you need a lieutenant for every squad. So for that reason, I'm going to make a motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
No.
Councilman Accomondo.
Yes.
Council President Mazer.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance amending Chapter 33, Article 1 of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook, heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on March 5th, 2015, at 7:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of a time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
A motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call?
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomondo?
Yes.
Council President Mazer.
Yes.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or members so request it in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of minutes and applications. Not part of the consent agenda would be the December 30th, 2014 minutes. Resolutions number 9, number 10, number 13, number 21, 19 through 25. I think that's it.
Oh.
Yes,
Any left?
few
Okay, so we need a motion on the ones
on the
remaining.
consent.
Through the
Consent.
chair,
I'll make them.
through the chair.
Yes.
Just on item 10, Mr. Suarez, in that contract, they were also going to put down that for work that's done by a paralegal or a law clerk would be $50 an hour. So that's going to be included rather than...
Part of the contract.
Right, as part of the contract. At a savings to the town.
And we have the change order. Okay.
Yep. Yep. So, do I have a motion? for the
I'll make a
one-
motion.
for the bill? Second? Second. Roll call?
Okay, for the consent agenda, Councilman Samaluka,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
And Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Minutes of December 30th, 2014.
A motion?
Make a motion.
A second? Second. Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka,
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio,
Yes, abstain.
Councilman Accomando,
Abstain.
and Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Resolution number 9 is change order number 1 for turf field that we received yesterday.
Yesterday.
It's in place of the one for the risk management, which is called.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka.
It just, so everyone knows what this is, basically there was some additions because what we did was we added some Falcon logos into the end zones, and also we added 2 kind of side-by-side junior soccer fields, which, and this is the extra money for the lining. We had a long conversation with the turf consultant and also our recreation soccer commissioner. So I will vote yes.
Councilman Camilleri,
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando,
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
We have to award, approve the professional services contract for the township attorney.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka.
I have to abstain. Mr. Suarez and I were on the same letterhead as of 2 months ago, so I'm going to have a self-imposed 6-month moratorium on voting on anything to do with Mr. Suarez. I think after that, it's fair game, so I will abstain.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando,
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
And we have the professional services contract for the tax appeals attorney.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka.
For the same reason, Mr. Ironman, who's the tax appeal attorney, and I were in the same firm. So, again, for 6 months, I don't think I can justifiably vote for anything to do with Mr. Ironman. I will abstain.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Resolution number 19 is payment of bills, corner nursery.
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka.
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeArminio.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Abstain.
And we have bills for Costa Engineering.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Abstain.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Appointing the third alternate to the zoning board, Joseph Zattarelli.
Motion.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Appointment of the fourth alternate zoning board, Ralph Esposito.
I'd have to recuse myself.
Okay. Do I have a
Motion.
motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri? Recuse himself. Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
And Council President Mazur.
Yes.
And we have resolution number 23, which rescinds Council Resolution 112-21, 10-minute time limit, and sets a new policy for the opening of meeting to the public.
I'd like to read this. Okay. This is a resolution for our time limits. We're going to try this, see how it goes. This is whereas CR number 112-21 established a time limit of 10 minutes per speaker during the public portion of township council meetings. Now therefore be resolved by the township council of the Township of Saddlebrook that it hereby rescinds CR 112-21, establishing said time limits, and adopts the following procedure for public meetings. There will be no time limits during the public portions of the township council meetings. The council meeting shall be open to the public at the beginning of the meeting and will open to the public at the end of the meeting. The second public portion shall be only for items on the agenda. However, if the council president feels that there is a need for a time limit may be imposed during the public portions of the meeting at the council president's discretion. The last paragraph, basically, we put in here for if there was something that was, that there was a big crowd here, we wouldn't want everybody to be out there at the podium unlimited time. So just so we have some
The
kind of
option.
options. Okay. I'd like a motion on this.
Motion.
Second. Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Just wanted to say that it was said tonight that the council president, although she has great powers, does not have the power to override a resolution that was passed by a body, a duly constituted body of the Township of Saddlebrook. So she couldn't just violate it. This was a resolution. It's kind of the law of Saddlebrook that you had the 10-minute rule. So you would need something like this to override that. With that being said, I will vote no.
You voted no? You said no?
No.
Okay.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Award the bid for the DPW roof with the base bid and alternate A.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazur.
Yes.
Award bid water main project for Fifth Street to John Garcia Construction with base bid and alternate A. And Russell Lane water main extension is the alternate.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
And Council President Mazur.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion to open to the public, and it would be on just the items of the agenda that we
Are
just
you
discussed.
doing that before old business and new business, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time, the meeting is again open to the public. Anyone wishing to be heard on any items on our agenda?
Through the chair to Mr. Samaluka, you seem very knowledgeable on the healthcare ordinance. Where 2 years ago, nobody knew nothing. You said that you based it on, there was 3 unions in town, PBA, the blue collar and the white collar?
My understanding, no, yes,
3 unions.
I believe so.
What union are you people members of?
Not a member of the union, sir.
Not a member of a union. Do you pay any dues to any union?
No, sir.
So why would you use the guidelines of the white collar union to take your health care benefits?
What
I would like
talked
a
about
legal
was-
opinion from our new attorney on what he thinks you people should be classified as. Because to me, you're elected officials. You're not part of any union.
Mhm.
You don't pay any dues.
Mhm.
And my opinion only, is you're not entitled to any benefits because you're not a township employee. Township employees we take care of. I mean, it would be the planning board should be eligible for benefits, the zoning board should be eligible for benefits, the fire department, the ambulance corps. I mean, anybody that does anything in town.
Through the chair,
Yes,
I think the township attorney could shed a little light on that.
okay. Fine.
So the question is, why does the members of the governing body follow along with the white collar union
Right.
health benefit policy?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, with regard to union membership, yes, the governing body is not a member of any union.
Who?
The governing body is
Body,
not a member of
right.
any union.
Right.
Okay. And my understanding is that, oh, I'm sorry, I hope you can hear me better, thanks, I can pull this one. My understanding is that with regard to the reason for the benefits that are taken by whoever on the governing body is able to take them at this point, is that it was probably a practice that was followed, a past practice policy, and that might be the reason why they're doing that. Some towns, because there's been changes in the laws over the last few years with regard to, the ability of certain members who are elected of governing bodies to take benefits. And if the township is in the state health benefits plan, that's the Horizon Blue Cross state plan, you can't, because that's the state law. But the township of Saddlebrook is not in that plan. They're in. I did some research on this. This came up a few weeks back. It's a Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. That's not the state health benefits plan. So they are able to still, obtain the benefits in that regard. So that's one issue. So the other issue is when they follow along with the union, and the unions, I guess it's not just the health benefits, but I guess there's other ways that the unions are able to get certain, other types of benefits as a result of being in a health plan, which would, I guess, involve like eyeglass prescription plan. I don't know if they follow that or not. But
They
if
get
they're,
everything.
so then
Full boat.
so basically following the past practice and following what the white collar union gets, that's why they're getting it right now. So it's
But they could never produce an ordinance. They could never produce one. We looked for it for years. Over 2 years, we looked for the ordinance. Mr. Rodriguez mentioned something tonight about the consecutive years, and that's why they couldn't produce it,
so
because it said consecutive years in there. And that's what we're trying to prevent from happening, because when benefits were cheap, it really didn't matter. Benefits are not cheap anymore. It's $26,000 for a family. And like I said, I don't think that they're employees of the town.
No.
And they're not members of any union, or like I say, Board of Ed members should be able to get it, or Board of, everybody might as well take it. What makes them up here, when everybody else is down here that volunteers for the town? They get their salary. I mean, if you're taking a job for the benefits, and you're sitting up here, and that's what seems to be happening, not doing anything and stuff like that, that's what happens. And we're the ones that pay it, the residents. I mean, the same thing he mentioned about the PBA with public service, that we get kickback on that thing. Do you think public service just wipes that money out? Who do they pass it on to? They can pay them $200 an hour. We're the ones paying for it. So it really doesn't matter what the town gets, what the officer gets, or whatever. It comes back to the taxpayer. We pay that officer sitting in that car, whether he's working for the town or whether he's working for public service. It comes on our bills and everything else. And I mean, it's to the point now where the fees for health benefits and everything else are astronomical. I mean, you got a guy directing traffic for 8 hours, gets $800. People don't make that in 2 weeks in their paycheck. Makes it in 1 day. You know what I mean? I mean, things we have to keep in line, or try to keep them in line, so the public service bills don't get out of effect. Also, on the senior housing, there are also income requirements and that need to be met. So it's not just that all the Saddlebrook seniors can put their name in the lottery and do it. They have to qualify financially and other things. So it's just not that you just come in and put your name in. So that's why I'm still saying it'll be very, very few people, because the outside towns, the Pattersons, the Englewoods, the Passaics, they meet the requirements financially, not the seniors of Saddlebrook.
Not true.
Huh?
I don't believe that.
Well, I do, because most
Well,
of the
I
seniors
don't.
in town,
I don't. Most of the seniors in town will meet the requirements to get into the senior housing.
okay, and where are they living now?
And the seniors in town are
Right.
living in their houses in town.
In their houses, right?
Yes.
So how about the people from Irvington and Patterson? Where are they living right now?
I have no idea
They're
where
not
they're
living in their
living.
houses. They're all Section 8s. Or that they're
But
gonna
this isn't
qualify
Section
for.
8 housing.
I know that, but that's where they'll qualify faster than a person from Saddlebrook.
No, he didn't
Person
say-
from Saddlebrook
He
has a
didn't-
house.
he didn't say
You're
that
knocked
the
out
other
right
night,
then and
Larry.
there. You're knocked
He's-
out, Karen.
No.
You're knocked out.
You're not, because it doesn't go by assets.
Exactly.
It goes by income.
Income.
And and what I do is, I'm a little bit appalled by the fact that you're naming towns that are primarily minority towns, and
Right.
I don't know, what,
How
do
many
you
of
have,
them-
do you
how many of
have,
them
do
people
you have a
on
hood
every-
and a white
How
cross?
many of them people would fit into Northville? Or how many do you think applied? Would they
No one
stick
knew
out?
about it.
Would they stick out like?
No one knew
sore thumbs?
about it. Just like
So
you
is-
didn't
let
know
me
about
ask
it
you
and I
something.
didn't know about it.
You being a council person and a governing person, do you think it's right to keep it from the people who really need it, or give it to your friends and relatives?
Who's
What would
giving-
you do?
It's a lottery.
Well, so don't say
It's a
you're gonna
lottery.
keep, nobody knew about it. Don't hush it down. Build it for the people who need it. That's the problem with this country. We don't take care of the needy.
It's gonna be,
Okay.
whatever, however they advertise it, they advertise it.
Right.
But it's natural. I didn't know about Duma. I'm involved in the county. I had no idea they had a.
You aren't looking for housing. These people are.
Did you
You're not
know?
looking for housing.
You didn't know about it?
I didn't know, I'm
know
not
about
looking for housing. I said, why would I look for it? I'm not looking for housing. But anytime that them people can better themselves, they know about it, and they do better themselves. But
You
like
know
I
what?
said,
When this is done,
We'll
you and
see.
you and I will come back,
We'll
and
go for
I'll
a
admit
tour.
that I'm
Let's hope for the
wrong,
best.
or you can, and I would hope that you would
I don't
admit
have a
you're
problem with
wrong.
that, but I'm just telling you what's gonna happen. Around here, that will happen. But like I said, the healthcare things, like I said, you wanna do the good, but you don't wanna do the bad. You're not part of any union, you're not any employee, and like I say, you're not entitled to it.
The question you said, though, was about the consecutive, and that wasn't the healthcare ordinance. That was part of a contract.
But we couldn't, Andrew, we couldn't find anything when you were amending an ordinance that didn't exist, and you amended the petition and everything else. We couldn't find anything. Nobody knew nothing. Nobody would talk about it. Because Pete, like I said, they didn't find it. But like I said, we'll take it tomorrow, Pete.
On the health benefits issue, you all know I was part of that, and you know where I stand. Obviously, nobody's budging. You're not going to give them up. You're not going to find the ordinance because it doesn't exist. You're not going to rescind it. I had proposed this many months ago when the ex-mayor sat here, and it was supposed to be taken under advisement from what I was told. Why can't the two sitting members who are taking benefits just agree for the time you sit there, you take them, when you're done, you're done. No family benefits. You want family benefits, you pay for the extra. The town will cover the cost of you as long as you sit there. I think that's pretty fair. It saves on one end, and you still get what you get. Now, I don't know if it'll be taken under advisement again, but I think there's a solution to the problem. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to be heard? No? Make a motion to close?
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any other order, any council comments at this time? Any other?
Well, we go old business and new business?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, on old business, the anti-nepotism ordinance that we talked about on Tuesday, are you going to fix some language. Is that why it's not on here? I thought we were gonna do it by title, or what we're gonna do. We're gonna fix some of the language. The mayor had indicated that there was a Title VI anti-nepotism ordinance, and I think that the one that was proposed by the dreaded former administration was more encompassing. It talked about grandchildren and nieces and nephews and stepchildren and all that kind of stuff. The Title VI is more limited in terms of who is excluded from employment within the town. So we'll have that for next meeting, maybe?
Yes, yes, I will do that.
Okay, all right. You want to do a little bit, I'll do it all together. And then new business, Pete, I don't know if you had a chance to make copies and hand out the package that I received from Freeholder
Not yet.
Di Nicola? Okay.
That'll be for the next, go
Okay.
in for the next pack.
Yeah, the Freeholder Di Nicola has been going around from town to town and talking to governing bodies about an all access, barrier-free access. And a lot of towns have established committees to review the barrier access and then access for all people with handicaps. So I think that, can we possibly invite, she told me that she has no problem coming here. I mean, it's a quick presentation we'll have the paperwork ahead of time so we can look at it. But if we can have her here to explain what it's all about and whether or not the town wants to establish a committee, which I think involves somebody from Recreation, someone from the Board of Ed, someone from the council, members of the community, people like that. So if no one has an objection, maybe we could reach out to her and see if we can have her here. The one thing on a lot of these contracts, you'll see, and I think it's important for people to know, we're being transparent here. So on a lot of the contracts that we're voting on, it talks about an advisory committee that makes recommendations. And I just, for the first time, I was not aware that there was an advisory committee. It's established pursuant to council's recommendation that there be an advisory committee. But just so everyone knows, when they read this thing, it's like, who's this advisory committee? The mayor had indicated that it was himself, Chief Kugler, David Garrick, who's a member of the Board of Education, and Regina Barali, who's also a member of the Board of Education. So if you ever look at these things, whoever looks at them, some people do, and wonders who is this advisory committee, those are the members of the advisory committee. And lastly, some of us got the memo, or are wearing red tonight. It is National Heart Month, so symbolically we are wearing red. My dad died when he was 39 years old of heart disease, so everyone should get their checkup. Obviously, he died and left 3 kids, 6 and under. So it's very important to get yourself a checkup and make sure everything is okay. And that's it.
I'll just combine old business, new business again. I'll just speak real quickly on Veterans Field. I am going to meet with our engineer, Bob Costa, tomorrow to get some plans drawn up, and then we can put it out to bid and see what the numbers are gonna come in for the bathrooms and the snack stand over at Veterans. We do have the money set aside for the project, and I wanna move it as quickly and efficiently as possible to get it done. Thank you.
I'd like to ask the mayor, we have somebody taping the meeting tonight. Is it somebody that's doing it as a volunteer? Are they?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. No, I was just surprised to see the cameras rolling.
Yes.
And wondered.
Very happy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for, so it'll be on our TV station?
We are going to try to get it on the station as soon as possible.
Okay. And we're still looking at, because we had several that came in last week. We haven't really, we talked about, are we, finalized with this, or?
No, we're not finalized.
Okay. Okay.
Just
That's it.
something that, I did speak to Mr. Halco, who did run the TV station for the last couple of years, I guess. And my understanding was he got tape. I think these guys are digital, right? Your digital? Yeah. We had tape. He would go and somehow change it to digital, and I thought he just went to Cablevision and just handed it to them and they put it on the air. But apparently, our facility at Coolidge School is actually the broadcast network. Cablevision is the medium that it comes out to us, but he had to go to the station and put it through some kind of machine, and he said it took a couple hours to get everything up and running. So I don't know if these gentlemen have access to Coolidge School, where our studio is, but it's apparently a little more complicated than I thought. I really thought it was just, he handed the tape to somebody or a CD to somebody and they just threw it on, but it's a little more. So hopefully we can give these people enough access that we can get this on for the people to see.
I don't know whether it's new business or old business, but I guess I'll combine it. My question's to Mr. Simaluka. What I want to know, Andrew, is when you were speaking before about the table of organization, you had mentioned that you would not, or you would be opposed to changing it from 34 up to 34, that language is important, to 32, that you would be opposed to that.
Correct.
Chief Kugler was in here on Tuesday and basically said that he feels that the department can function properly and efficiently, effectively, with 32 officers. Why would you be opposed to going to 32 officers?
Because if at some point Chief Kugler, and in conjunction with the town, feels that we need more officers, now what we're doing is changing the table of organization. The TO, in my opinion, should not be something that is tweaked constantly. We don't have to go to 34 officers. There's no reason, just like we don't have to go to 6 sergeants if we feel that there doesn't need to be 6 sergeants. Now, listen, it's up to 6 sergeants. You're the promoting authority. If you felt like keeping 4 sergeants, that's your prerogative. There's nothing that we can do or the chief can do. That's your job. You know, our job is to set a TO. I don't see why we would, even though the chief feels that we can get by on 32 officers, that doesn't mean we have to limit it to 32 officers. We could have 34. We might never, listen, we've been under that for a long time. We may never, ever get to 34 officers. But if we need another officer to have to come in and say, well, we got to change it now to 34, and then, oh, we only need 33, so we're going to make it 33. I think you just keep it at 34. It doesn't mean you have to staff it, but you have it there. And I don't think that, somebody mentioned to me, well, you have to fund the 34. Well, it's not true, because it's been 34 for years, and we've only, at one point, what were we down to, 22 or 23, something ridiculous like that. So I really don't, I'm not one in favor of changing the TO all the time. I think at one point, whatever governing body it was, came in and said, we need 9 sergeants. 9 sergeants were made. Some of them are now lieutenants or captains or whatever, but at some point it was not. Then it went down to 6. You know, if we have something that works, just keep it like that, and you know, you can expand it at some point, but I don't think constricting it really helps anything, especially with the overall number. Really, it's only the overall number of people in the department. I think 34 is some kind of magic number. No one has ever explained to me why it's 34 is the be-all and end-all of Saddlebrook police personnel, but it's like that. I don't see the reason to come down to 32. If somebody, you know, if we feel that we need more officers, it's there. You know, the position's open, the amount of people are there open. I don't see it serving any purpose to limit it to 32 when it's been 34 for years. And remember, like I said, it's been 34, but we had 22. So we're gradually building it up. If the chief comes in and he says, I believe that we're at the optimum amount for 32, great. Just don't hire the extra 2 people, but it's there. That's my opinion. That's the reason I said that.
I understand what you're saying. The only problem with that thinking is that if you have up to 34, the union, the PBA, is going to want that 34 at some point. And it's the same with the sergeants. If you say up to 6 or any rank, for that matter,
But
they're going to file a grievance,
Saying
even
that
though
we
there's
need-
law that says that it doesn't have to be filled, they're going to say that it should be filled, and in the past it has. That's the way unions operate.
They may have more of a gripe, so to speak, on the number of specific personnel, like up to 6 sergeants. Why do you only have 3? But in terms of the overall number, which basically would be the patrolmen, there's no union in the world that's gonna come in and say, you have to hire more cops because your TO says you can have 34 without any kind of consideration of township finances. How do they know if we have the money to do it? We may not have the money for 30. But for them to come in and say, well, you can have 34 officers total, but you only have 32, you must hire somebody. Somebody can prove me wrong, but I can't imagine that happening in a million years. But that's the reason. I don't really feel the need to go down to 32. I think 34 is fine. I mean, like I said, we had 22 or something like that. I didn't see any unions file on anything. At that point, we were understaffed, and no union thought about it to say, listen, you guys are way understaffed. It might be a public safety concern, so, and they would have that going for them. I just don't see it. That's my reason.
No, I know municipalities where that happens all the time, but just for the sake of the crowd, the audience, it's my feeling that if we can do it with 32, I want to save the taxpayers some money and not hire 34. So that's my intention. If the chief of police feels that we can do it with that amount of manpower, and I know as being a former deputy chief that it can be done with all the services provided that's needed, with a school resource officer, with the DARE program, which, by the way, the DARE program has always operated on their own without overtime, without needing extra personnel. But also, the Detective Bureau has been depleted. We would be able to have at least 3 detectives. Also, I think that's fine. And as far as Mrs. Darminio is concerned with talking about hiring, I understand what you're saying. I think you make a good point with the 28. And we're in a situation now where the chief has asked us to promote this lieutenant. And my feeling was, and I had asked him on Tuesday, well, what if this temporary 12-hour shift doesn't become permanent? If it's not implemented, what are we going to do with that 4th lieutenant? And he gave a good answer. And my feeling, again, is that you're making that lieutenant, and even though we are top-heavy, I've said it, and I'll say it every time, I do still believe we're top-heavy, but what's the option? Are we going to demote people? I feel that's, demote people that have been there, legitimately hired and promoted. I'm not going to do that. That's not an option to me. But through attrition, maybe that's a different story. And we'll address that when we come up to it. But the police department, the chief has requested, just for your knowledge, when you see the budget, that he has requested 2 officers be hired this year. And we want to do it in a way where it's where we're not, again, burdening the taxpayer with let's hire 4, let's do 2 this year, maybe 2 next year. So, and that'll bring it up to 32, which I believe is appropriate.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for council comments. Just to recap, I just want to reassure everyone, it's a healthy conversation that's going on up here between all of us, and I think it's great. Everybody's got their input and everything. And at the end, we leave it up to the professionals. And I firmly believe everyone up here has the best interests of our township. And we're moving forward in a positive way. Of course, we're not going to please everybody all the time. We're trying. It's a work in progress, and just want you to know that, it's the best interest for everybody. And with that, I also would like to welcome our new 2 zoning board alternate members, Mr. Esposito and Mr. Zuttarelli. Welcome on board. Thank you for putting your time and effort into it. And if there is no other, I guess, is this? Okay.
No,
Oh, I thought you threw this
no.
in there. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Be safe out there, too. I'd like a motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Good night, everyone. Be safe.